Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. À ceux qui visitent Calgary, je vous souhaite la bienvenue. I'm Ed McCauley, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Calgary, and I'm proud to welcome you all here today for this important event. It's an important day, not just for our campus and for our city, but an event that I'm sure will have a profound and long-lasting impact for Canada, for our collective security and our national sovereignty. In the spirit of reconciliation, we begin by acknowledging the land we are gathered on here today. The University of Calgary, located in the heart of southern Alberta, both acknowledges and pays tribute to the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. The City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation within Alberta, including Nose Hill Métis District 5 and Elbow Métis District 6. On this land and in this place, we strive to learn together, walk together, and grow together in a good way. I would also like to acknowledge the many special guests, dignitaries, and officials who have joined us this morning. The Honourable David McGuinty, Canada's Minister of National Defence. The Honourable Joseph Schow, Alberta's Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade, and Immigration. There are so many people to acknowledge in this room. It would take me all the time that we have to actually acknowledge everybody. But I would like to point out that Brigadier General Wade Rutland, the commander of the 3rd Canadian Division Joint Task Force, is with us here today. Thank you very much, General, for being back on our campus. We really appreciate your support. And many other members of the Canadian Armed Forces. We have also Luann Metz, the Calgary Varsity MLA, here with us today, and Court Ellingson, the Calgary Foothills MLA. Very, very importantly, I'd like to acknowledge the President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan, Dr. Bruni Bosseo. Welcome. And I'd like to also acknowledge my board chair, Bill Sembo, and Karen Ganson, my vice chair of my board, and other board members of the University of Calgary are here with us today. Our University of Calgary senators, our senior leadership team members, deans, and faculty and students. And I'd also like to acknowledge some very important community members who are here with us, who are tremendous supporters for the university and for the Calgary community. Dr. Jeff McCaig, Dr. Fred Mannix, and Lauren Jacobson. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Honourable David McGuinty, Canada's Minister of National Defence. Minister McGuinty was first elected as a Member of Parliament for Ottawa South in 2004 and has been re-elected 7 times, most recently in 2025. Minister McGuinty has dedicated his life to public service. Over his 2 decades on Parliament Hill, he has served in various roles, including Acting Whip, House Leader of the Official Opposition, and most recently, Chair of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians. He has also been a member of numerous parliamentary committees, associations, and groups. Prior to his appointment as Minister of National Defence, he served as Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness. Minister McGuinty is also a highly respected member of Calgary's legal community who has practiced law and worked with governments, businesses, and not-for-profit aid organizations worldwide to help advance progress on a wide range of issues and impact communities for the greater good. His career outside of politics includes working on behalf of UNICEF across Africa to promote children's rights and lecturing, conducting research, and designing courses at various post-secondary institutions across the globe. Please join me in welcoming the Honourable David McGuinty.
Thank you very much, Ed. Bonjour, Monsieur, Dame. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me this morning. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge the passing last week of Captain William Bill Wilson. Captain Bill served Canada with distinction for more than 8 decades. In uniform during the Second World War and afterwards through his tireless work preserving Canada's military history here in Alberta. His life reminds us that defending Canada is a responsibility shared not only by those in uniform, but by the communities and the citizens who preserve that legacy. Our thoughts are with his family and everyone whose lives he touched. He will be missed. It's a pleasure to be here with you at the University of Calgary. It's a pleasure to see you. And I mean that literally because I just had my eye operated on. I can see you out of my right eye. 2 days after the surgery, I called my wife over and I said, I think I have a problem with my eye. She came running. She said, what's the problem? Is it bleeding? No. Is it out of focus? No. I pointed to the mirror and I looked at her and I said, I just want to ask you, where did all those wrinkles come from? She walked away. You know, thank you. I want to begin by thanking you for bringing together leaders from industry, academia, government, and the Canadian Armed Forces. You know, rooms like this matter. They matter a great deal because the future of Canada's security will be shaped by the partnerships that we build together. We all know that every generation inherits a different strategic challenge. Previous generations defended Canada's sovereignty with courage on battlefields around the world. Our generation is going to have to defend it by building stronger industries, building stronger supply chains, building stronger partnerships, building the capabilities that will keep Canadians secure in an increasingly uncertain world. Le monde a changé, pas graduellement, mais fondamentalement. As I like to say, the pace of change will never be this slow again. Every technological breakthrough, every geopolitical shift, every new security challenge is accelerating. Canada must be prepared not only for the world as it is today, but for the world that is rapidly taking shape. The assumptions that shaped our economy and our security for decades, they just no longer hold. We see that reality playing out around the world. Earlier this year, Iran launched ballistic missiles more than 4,000 kilometers in distance, after swearing to the world for over 2 decades that they possessed no such capacity, demonstrating capabilities well beyond the range it had previously claimed to a maximum of 2,000 kilometers, meaning that those missiles are now well within pretty much every European capital. That's a big change. Economic security and national security are no longer separate conversations. They've become the same conversation. Supply chains have become strategic assets. Critical minerals have become instruments of geopolitical influence. Data has become infrastructure. Artificial intelligence is transforming military capability. Quantum technologies will transform it yet again. Prosperity and security no longer compete with one another, they reinforce one another. Countries that innovate will lead, countries that manufacture will endure, countries that invest in their own industrial capacity will have greater freedom to make their own decisions. Enhanced sovereignty. Countries that depend entirely on others increasingly risk accepting decisions made somewhere else by someone else. We've made our choice. We're going to build, we're going to innovate, we're going to lead alongside trusted allies. Because security is built. It's built in laboratories, built in classrooms, built in factories, built by entrepreneurs, by engineers, by visionaries, by skilled tradespeople, by Canadian workers. And much of that work starts in rooms just like this one. Here at the University of Calgary, researchers, entrepreneurs, and industry partners are already turning bold ideas into real capability. La réponse à ce nouveau monde n'est pas la peur, c'est le partenariat. We're doing things differently, moving faster, building more here at home and working more closely with our allies. We've made a choice. We're investing in our people, our technologies, and our industrial capacity. No government, however, can do this alone. It takes our Canadian workers, our businesses, our researchers, our entrepreneurs, willing to take risks. And nowhere is that opportunity more evident than here in Alberta. Few places are better positioned to help Canada write Canada's next chapter than Alberta. For generations, this province has powered Canada's economy. It has built world-class engineering expertise. I've seen it. I've toured the facilities. It has developed one of North America's most sophisticated industrial workforces. Today, those same strengths are becoming indispensable to Canada's security, because security is being built here. You know, the Canadian Armed Forces ties to Alberta run deep, very deep. For more than a century, Albertans have helped define what it means to serve Canada. During the First World War, nearly 49,000 Albertans stepped forward to serve. More than 6,000 never came home. That legacy is measured not in dollars, but in sacrifice. A generation later, Albertans answered that call again, and they have continued to serve Canada with courage and distinction ever since. Today, more than 10,300 members of the Canadian Armed Forces and their families call Alberta home. Together with the Department of National Defence's civilian workforce, the defense team employs more than 12,000 Albertans, making national defense one of the province's largest employers. In fact, the fourth largest employer in this province. Every one of those jobs strengthens not only Canada's security, but Alberta's economy and communities. They serve at Cold Lake, Edmonton, Wainwright, Suffield, and in reserve units across the province, including more than 1,800 reservists, regular force members, and civilian personnel right here in Calgary. But behind every aircraft, every ship, every radar system, every autonomous system, there's a Canadian Armed Forces member trusting that the equipment they receive will perform exactly the way it should when it matters most. And that trust creates an obligation to recruit, to retain, to modernize, and to deliver capability faster than threats evolve. And they are evolving quickly. That is exactly what we are doing. Alberta's military presence has helped grow something equally important, one of Canada's most dynamic defense ecosystems. Calgary is home to fast-growing companies like North Vector Dynamics and Canadian UAVs, advancing autonomous systems that are helping shape the future of defense. Canadian-owned companies like ATCO and de Havilland Canada have supported our armed forces for decades. Global defense leaders like General Dynamics Mission Systems have chosen to invest and grow here as well. Together, these companies employ thousands of Albertans, make vital contributions to our defense and our security. That means that Canada's security depends on Alberta's industries, and its workers, and its innovators, and its manufacturers. Mais la défense va bien au-delà des entreprises qui assemblent des avions, des navires, ou des véhicules blindés. It depends on construction, on energy, on advanced manufacturing, on data, on research, on the skilled trades, and on resilient supply chains that support every mission we undertake. Cette recherche de pointe se fait ici même, à l'Université de Calgary, à l'Université Mount Royal, et au Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. That work is already making the Canadian Armed Forces more capable, more resilient, and better prepared for the future. Because security is built long before a soldier ever steps onto a battlefield. And we are building on that momentum. Canada and our NATO allies have committed to investing 5% of GDP toward defense and security by 2035. Last year, Canada reached NATO's 2% benchmark years ahead of our contemplated schedule. They said it couldn't be done. They said we would be delayed. They said we would misspend. They said we might even be reckless in that spending. None of that has materialized. That was an important milestone. But spending more is only part of the story. And we will be spending $500 billion by 2035. What matters is what those investments leave behind. Better pay, faster procurement, more resilient supply chains, stronger Canadian companies, greater industrial capacity, better capabilities for the women and men who serve our country. Today, more than 140 major projects are underway. 140 major projects are underway to equip the Canadian Armed Forces, from submarines, which were accelerated from 5 years to 16 months, to armored vehicles, to aircraft. That work stretches across every region of the country, from shipyards on our coasts, to aerospace facilities here in Alberta, to training ranges across the prairies. Those investments are already making a difference here in Alberta. We started with our people, because everything begins with them, doesn't it? Last year, we delivered the largest pay raise for Canadian Armed Forces members in a generation, up to 20%. It was long overdue. Because the damnedest thing about being a member of the Canadian Armed Forces is you can't unionize. You don't bargain collectively. You can't go on strike. That makes it our responsibility to ensure they are fairly compensated for the service and the sacrifice they provide to Canadians every single day. When Canadians, thank you very much. Thank them. When Canadians choose to serve their country, they accept extraordinary responsibilities and extraordinary risks. We owe them more than our gratitude. We owe them the support they deserve. Better pay means greater stability for military families, greater security for those who wear the uniform, and recognition that service to Canada is valued. We're also investing in where military families live. Across Canada, we're building 7,500 new homes. Several months ago, I asked my team, can we buy apartment buildings? Well, we've never done that, sir. That wasn't the question I asked you. Can we buy apartment buildings? We've never done that, sir. Great. So we bought 3 in the last 6 months. More than 1,400 new homes are being built here in Alberta. Just weeks ago, we celebrated the completion of 6 new net zero emissions-ready apartment buildings we built at CFB Edmonton, the first delivered anywhere in Canada under our military housing program. We're also investing in the places where our people live and train and serve. These investments do more than strengthen the CAF. They're major economic generators for communities across Alberta. Good jobs, good for our businesses, long-term growth. At Suffield, we are investing more than $1 billion to modernize one of the largest military training areas in the Commonwealth. We're also establishing a new chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear centre of excellence at Suffield, strengthening Canada's ability to prepare for and respond to some of the most complex threats facing our armed forces and our allies. Every year at this training area, Suffield brings together Canadian and allied soldiers to prepare for the realities of modern conflict, from drones and electronic warfare to increasingly complex multinational operations. At Cold Lake, we're investing more than $525 million to prepare for Canada's future fighter fleet. That's $500 million. New hangars, modernized infrastructure, enhanced maintenance, improved security, and upgrades to the Cold Lake Air Weapons Range as part of our broader NORAD modernization. These investments strengthen our armed forces. They create opportunity here at home. Let me give you 2 specific examples. A $211.6 million contract with Arkfield Canada is helping sustain Canada's CF-18 fleet through 2032. North Vector Dynamics is developing autonomous aerial systems capable of detecting and defeating hostile drones. Across Alberta, innovation is happening in every corner of the province. In Medicine Hat, Canadian companies are now producing more drones than anywhere else in Canada. Anywhere else in Canada, demonstrating Alberta's growing leadership in autonomous systems and advanced manufacturing. Researchers here at U of C helping design the next generation of hypersonic flight. These are not separate stories. They are part of the same story, because security is built by Canadian workers, by Canadian companies, Canadian researchers, built right here in Alberta. We've laid the groundwork. The task is now to turn these investments into lasting industrial strength for Canada. That's why we launched Canada's first ever defence industrial strategy. For decades, defence procurement often ended when a contract was signed. Today, it begins there. Every investment should do more than deliver equipment. It should strengthen Canadian companies, expand Canadian supply chains, grow Canadian intellectual property, create Canadian jobs, deepen Canada's technological advantage, and ensure the CAF receive the capabilities they need at the speed today's security environment demands. That is the defense industrial strategy. It's not simply about buying what the military needs. It's about building the country that national security now requires of us. The strategy identifies 10 sovereign capabilities, 10 core areas that will underpin our future security, from aerospace and advanced manufacturing to digital systems, autonomous technologies, training, specialized production. Alberta is already positioned to lead in many of these. Our approach is clear. Build in Canada whenever we can. Partner with trusted allies, allies who say what they mean and mean what they say. Trusted allies, partner where it makes sense. And we buy abroad only after, when we must, from trusted allies. We are strengthening Canada's industrial base. There are 600 defense companies in this country. There are 82,000 full-time jobs in the sector, rapidly growing. We're keeping more of the value of defense investments here at home. Because in a more dangerous world, we must be deliberate about what Canada can build, what Canada can sustain, what Canada can lead. Defense policy has become economic policy. The countries that build the technologies of tomorrow will shape the security of tomorrow. Our proposition is a simple one. Every investment in advanced manufacturing, every breakthrough in artificial intelligence, every resilient supply chain, every quantum discovery makes Canada more secure. That's why we created Borealis, the Bureau of Research, Engineering and Advanced Leadership in Innovation and Science. Borealis, to bring government, industry, researchers and innovators together around the technologies that will define the future. Because security is built. That brings me to today's announcement. History remembers the moments when countries recognized the technologies that would define the century ahead of us. Electricity, aviation, computing, the internet, artificial intelligence. Quantum belongs in that company. Quantum technologies will fundamentally and, in my view, forever change how nations defend themselves and how they compete. They will redefine navigation when GPS is denied, communications when networks are contested, sensing when adversaries seek to remain invisible, and computing at speeds that will transform what is possible across defense, security, and industry. Countries that lead in quantum will help shape the next generation of military capability. They will strengthen economic resilience, drive scientific discovery, create industries that will define the decades ahead. It's coming at us, and it's coming at us at breakneck speed. Canada intends to be one of those countries. That's why we're investing in Canadian innovation through Borealis and our growing network of defense innovation secure hubs. Our DISHs, D-I-S-H, Defense Innovation Secure Hubs. These are secure environments where government, industry, academia, not-for-profit organizations can work side by side to solve some of the defense's most complex technological challenges. They're designed to accelerate ideas, shorten the path from research to deployment, help ensure Canadian innovations become Canadian capabilities. Last year, we launched our first Defense Innovation Secure Hub in Nova Scotia, focusing on maritime security. Just last month, we announced a second in Montreal Mirabel, dedicated to autonomous and drone technologies. The response to this initiative, the quantum one, has been remarkable. We received 27 applications to establish a Quantum Defense Innovation Secure Hub, a QDISH, along with 6 additional proposals spanning both the quantum and uncrewed systems domains. That level of interest speaks to the strength of Canada's innovation ecosystem and the extraordinary work being undertaken across the country. Today, I'm more than proud, extremely proud to announce the next chapter. In the coming months, Canada's establishing its third Defence Innovation Secure Hub right here at the University of Calgary, dedicated to quantum technologies. Backed by an investment of $20.3 million, this hub will bring together researchers, innovators, entrepreneurs, industry partners, and defense experts to accelerate the development of quantum technologies for our Canadian Armed Forces. There's no better place for this work, not because we're beginning something new, but because Calgary's already built one of Canada's most dynamic quantum ecosystems. I also want to congratulate the University of Calgary on once again being recognized among Canada's top research universities. That excellence is exactly why this Defence Innovation Secure Hub belongs right here. The University of Calgary has earned a global reputation for excellence in quantum research through initiatives like Quantum City. You built one of Canada's leading innovation ecosystems, bringing together, as I said, researchers, entrepreneurs, investors, industry, and government to advance more than 20 real-world quantum applications with the potential to transform industries far beyond defense. You've got the talent. You built the partnerships. You got the ecosystem. Today's announcement builds on that foundation. It's one hell of a good start. This is not the beginning of Calgary's quantum story. It's the next chapter. And it reflects something much bigger than a single investment, folks. It reflects Canada's confidence, our mojo. Confidence that the ideas developed here can strengthen the Canadian Armed Forces. Confidence that Canadian researchers can compete with the very best in the world. That we can give rise to new exportable products and processes. That we can compete and we can win. Confidence that Canadian companies can do that they can grow and scale and export. And confidence that Alberta will continue to play a defining role in Canada's defence industrial future. Because security is built. It's built here. As we continue investing to meet these challenges of a more dangerous and less predictable world, and trust me, it's a rough and tumble place right now. And as we work toward our commitment to invest 5% of GDP in defense and security, we all need to be at our best. We're going to be counting on you. The Canadian people are counting on you. The ambition we have set for Canada can't be achieved by government alone. Not a chance. Governments don't create innovation. People do. Entrepreneurs do. Risk takers do. Researchers do. Engineers do. Skilled tradespeople do. Government's responsibility is different. Our responsibility is to create the conditions in partnership with governments like the one in Alberta, where innovation becomes investment, where investment becomes production, where production becomes capability, and where capability strengthens Canada's security for decades to come. That is the partnership we are building across this incredible, beautiful country we call home. We are a government prepared to move with greater speed. This Prime Minister demands greater clarity and greater ambition. An industry with the confidence to invest, to hire, to innovate, to scale, to export. Researchers willing to tackle the hardest problems. Workers prepared to build the technologies. That's Canada's advantage. Because security is built together. When I travel all over the world, I hear this as a constant refrain from colleagues in all the NATO countries and beyond. We signed 24 roughly new agreements in the last year, about a half a dozen of which are defense agreements. Many ministers of defense, colleagues, look at me and say, we want to partner with Canada. You've got it all. You got the space, you got the people, you got the brand. You got an inclusive democratic society. You got the engineers, you got the risk-taking, you got the capital. We need to come together, which is why we're working with our bankers and our investors and our pension funds to be able to come together and deploy the very best of Canada. I want to thank you again for having me here today and for coming here and demonstrating your interest in our country and its future. There's a higher purpose here at stake, folks. You know it, we know it. We can't do this without you. Thank you so much. Everything I've talked about will be built. It will happen, and it'll be accomplished by Canadians. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister McGuinty. On behalf of the University of Calgary and our consortium partners, we thank you and the Government of Canada for this timely investment to operate the Quantum Defence Innovation Secure Hub, or Quantum DISH, at the University of Calgary's Quantum City. The Government of Canada's defence industrial strategy and its landmark commitment to direct 5% of national GDP to defence spending and security-related investments by 2035 are initiatives I think almost everybody in this room applauds. And Minister McGuinty, we commend your government for recognizing that Canada's large research-intensive universities have a major role to play in finding solutions to some of the country's emerging security challenges. The Quantum DISH will maximize the world-class quantum expertise and research capacity we are so fortunate to already have established at the University of Calgary. One reason we have this expertise and the reason Quantum City exists at this university in this city is because in 2022, the University of Calgary, the Government of Alberta, and the technology company Emphasis looked to the future. We looked down the road at what the next big thing in technology innovation would be, and we took a chance. As a result of significant investments from partners and collaborators, Quantum City has become a national leader in quantum computing, sensing, and communications, areas within the quantum realm that lend themselves directly to the specific outcomes in defense and security innovation that DISH is designed to produce. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honourable Joseph Schow, Alberta's Minister of Jobs, Economy, Trade, and Immigration. In this role, Minister Schow leads the provincial strategy for attracting investment, creating jobs, and building a strong economy. Under his leadership, Alberta is increasing its position as a hub for Canada's defence industry, which means greater protection for our country along with jobs for Canadians. And to you, Minister Schow, and to the Government of Alberta, we offer our thanks for the initial critical investment in Quantum City. Please welcome to the podium Minister Joseph Schow.
Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction, Dr. McCauley, and it's an honor to be with you today, and also an honor to be with you, Minister McGuinty, and for this incredible announcement in the investment here in Alberta. Now, Dr. McCauley mentioned so many people who need to be recognized, and I won't go through those, but there are so many more, I'm sure, and so I just want to start by saying, you know who you are. You know who you are who've helped us get here. You know what you've done to help us get here, and I am very grateful for that, and I want to thank you for that. Now, it is a historic day and a major step in Alberta's role in strengthening Canada's defence capabilities. The University of Calgary has secured a major investment, one that says Alberta is in fact a central part of the defence industrial strategy. Again, I want to thank and recognize Minister McGuinty for choosing Alberta as part of this investment and recognizing the contributions we have made and will continue to make, and the leadership of our Premier working with the Prime Minister to ensure Alberta stays an economic hub of this country. Defense is something that until recently we have not talked nearly enough about. And security and sovereignty is not a luxury. It doesn't come free. It's bought and it's paid for with the sacrifice and the time of the brave servicemen and women of our Canadian Armed Forces. And increasingly, global instability has brought to the forefront the discussion about how Canada can increase its sovereignty for defense and for security. There is no shortage of work to be done, but Alberta stands ready to do its part. There are a few advantages that we have, and we see those leading in real investment, such as the one being announced today. Alberta is a vast province, but still maintains access to major economic corridors. We have land access, not far from major centers, allowing for easier testing of drones and other defense-related products. And as shown today, we have a skilled, innovative workforce with great world-class post-secondary institutions ready and able to partner with government and others on defense research. And the brave men and women who serve in the Canadian Armed Forces cannot safely do what they do without investments like this backing them up. We are grateful for their service, and I am pleased on behalf of the province to say thank you again to them and to the federal government for making investments like this that make our country safer and our country stronger. And looking ahead, I am optimistic we will see more Canadians benefit from increased focus on defense, and Alberta is proud and ready to be part of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Schow. Minister McGuinty and Minister Schow, in addition to offering my thanks again for your support, I want to convey this message through you to your governments. The University of Calgary is not only well prepared for the crucial work ahead, but we are also highly confident in our ability and that of our consortium partners to translate this investment into tangible contributions to Canada's defense capabilities. We know we are ready to take on this responsibility because supporting Canada's defense community is not new to us, it's actually part of us. For decades, the University of Calgary has partnered with Canada's defense community through research, education, and public engagement. Since 2020, more than 130 University of Calgary faculty led over 1,100 defense-aligned research projects in fields like Arctic security, autonomous systems, secure communications, and extensive contributions in health diagnostics, field treatment, and combat casualty care. Our leadership position as Canada's entrepreneurial university and the country's leading university in startup creation is bolstered by 152 patent filings of defense-related innovations and 9 major startup formations in the defense tech sector. We're home to the Canadian Centre for Military Security and Strategic Studies, one of the country's leading centers for scholarship in defense policy and military history. And this center illustrates the power of universities to convene parties to advance common goals. In just the last 1.5 years, Rob Hubert and his team at the center has hosted 3 power conferences, bringing together military experts in air power, sea power, and land power to advance national defense and partnerships with government, industry, and academics. We're home to the Arctic Institute of North America, Canada's oldest research center in the Arctic. And additionally, our long-standing relationship with the military museums here in Calgary reflects our commitment to preserving Canada's proud military heritage and connecting citizens with the service, the stories, and the sacrifices of the women and men of our armed forces who have defended this country. Today, more than ever, Canada's national security depends not only on the strength of our armed forces, but on our ability to innovate faster than those who would challenge us. The pace at which we can innovate is directly tied to our ability to collaborate. Often, as university leaders, we naturally find ourselves in a position of healthy competition with other post-secondary institutions for students, new faculty, and for research funding. However, at a time when Canada's national security is facing new and accelerating pressures, the moment demands that prominent public institutions of higher learning and advanced research come together, bringing our collective expertise to bear in support of our national interest. Meeting the moment now is more important than ever for our sovereignty. And I'd like to acknowledge our partner universities in the province, the University of Alberta and the University of Lethbridge, who quickly came together with us to make the case for operating the quantum dish here at the University of Calgary. I am also particularly grateful to my colleague, Dr. Vince Bruni-Bossio, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan, for collaborating on this initiative, and for the immense expertise in quantum capabilities the University of Saskatchewan brings as our primary academic partner in the quantum dish. And I know to some people, as a Minister to QDish, or the Quantum Defense Innovation Secure Hub, might sound like something out of a science fiction novel. But I'd like to think of DISH as an advanced innovation workshop, one where scientists, entrepreneurs, and military experts can work side by side on some of the world's most advanced technologies. And to tell us more about the Quantum Dish and how the consortium of partners will work alongside Quantum City in bringing new defense innovations to reality, I'd like to welcome Dr. Megan Lee, the Director of Quantum City, to say a few words. Megan?
There we go. Thank you, Ed. Good morning. My name is Megan. I'm the Managing Director of Quantum City here at University of Calgary. It's my pleasure to be here to represent the consortium of 13 partners that will be making the Quantum Defense Innovation Secure Hub a reality. On behalf of Quantum City and our partners, I would like to thank Minister McGuinty, the Government of Canada, and the team at Borealis for selecting us to establish and operate QDish here in Calgary. We're honored and excited, and we are ready to get to work. So several of our partners are represented here today in the room: Lockheed Martin Canada, Dell Technologies, General Dynamics Mission Systems, Calian, CAE, Data Dynamics, and Norcata, and of course, our primary academic partner, University of Saskatchewan. Thank you to all our partner organizations and supporters for your commitment to this initiative. At Quantum City, we operate with a solution-driven mindset. We don't start with a technology looking for a problem to solve. We start with a challenge and ask ourselves, can quantum technology be the best solution? Our consortium partners share that mindset, and collectively we're focused on leveraging our unique innovation capabilities to deliver quantum solutions for our partners in the Canadian Armed Forces. The Quantum Dish will operate at the nexus of 3 areas of expertise. Number one, first, our defense prime partners will serve as our North Star, sharing with us the problems that need solving in defense operations. Lockheed Martin Canada, Dell Technologies, CAE, General Dynamics Mission Systems, and Calian will provide valuable insights into real-world activities that to ensure our solutions are meeting the needs of our CAF partners. Second, our small-medium enterprise partners will bring proven track records of delivering products to market. Our SME partners are already integrated with the defense industry and combined bring tremendous breadth and depth of knowledge to the table. And third, the University of Calgary and our academic partners will provide the cutting-edge research needed to advance Canada's defense and security capabilities. Then we will leverage Quantum City's industry connections and University of Calgary's deep relationship in Alberta's innovation ecosystem to ensure Quantum Dish can succeed in its mission. Together, we are mission-driven, collaborative, and industry-integrated powerhouse that will deliver emerging quantum technologies in alignment with urgent defense needs. Establish this secure pathway to swiftly translate quantum discovery from research universities and SMEs into defense-ready capabilities is of critical importance to our country. The Quantum Dish will enhance Canada's technological sovereignty and increase our capability to respond to dynamic and evolving security concerns. I would like to thank again the Government of Canada for selecting Quantum City to operate the Quantum Dish with their consortium partners, and we're grateful for this opportunity and look forward to work ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. In conclusion, I extend again our deepest gratitude to our consortium partners, to the team at Quantum City, the Government of Alberta, for your ongoing support, and the Government of Canada for this transformational investment. Today is a profound reminder that investment in defense capability and security innovation is ultimately an investment in Canadians, in their personal safety, their collective security, and their quality of life. We are ready to harness the talent that exists at this world-class university and among our world-class industry and post-secondary partners, and to channel that talent to build a stronger, more secure, and more prosperous Canada. This concludes the end of our formal program, and I'd now like to ask the Government of Canada officials to lead the media question and answer.
Hi, everyone. So that concludes today's announcement. Thank you so much. Merci. We'll now open the floor to questions. Before asking your question, if you could just please state your name and outlet. Thank you. Yeah.
No questions? Great.
Hi there, Mason DePatie asking on behalf of CTV News National. Can our NATO allies trust Canadians with their secrets, given the federal government cleared the alleged Canadian spy to work at SHAPE military headquarters?
Look, it's very difficult for me to make a comment about an ongoing judicial matter in a foreign country, Belgium. The police of local jurisdiction there are seized with this issue. Have made an arrest, I understand, as a question of detention or continuing detention to be resolved. I'm really not in a position to comment or offer any more insight in that regard.
Okay. And you make an announcement today in quantum technology, something that Canada's competitors like China are very interested in. What's being done to safeguard Canadian technology and development from being stolen by foreign actors?
That's a very, very big question. The government is seized with this responsibility. Nowhere more obviously than I think in the field of artificial intelligence, where Canada is becoming a major player, making significant investments. Look, we're going to have to be vigilant. We have experience with this issue of the loss of intellectual property, for example, over time, for example, with Nortel previously. But the safeguards that we've got in place now are significant. Our security and intelligence organizations have more than a watching brief on these kinds of activities. You'll recall, Canadians will recall, that there were a series of foreign interference reports put out by the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, which I chaired at the time, which led to a commission of inquiry. There are many lessons which have been drawn from those reviews and that experience, and they're being implemented.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim Brooks, CTV, local.
Local.
I don't know if you've said the word exactly, but you've danced around this topic multiple times today of sovereignty. So can you just talk a little bit about this investment, the other two investments that the feds have made, and how exactly they're going to advance Canadian sovereignty?
A year ago or more, the Prime Minister made it very clear that Canada was going to build its own sovereign capabilities, that we would be less dependent on foreign sovereign state actors and more dependent on ourselves, that we had the capability to do this. For example, we're looking at right now a full pan-Arctic maritime domain awareness connectivity structure, where we'll be connected to satellites and our river-class destroyers and our Coast Guard vessels and folks on the ground and our rangers and our submarines and our fighter jet fleet. That we're dependent on other actors, for example, when it comes to satellites. One of the reasons why we've launched a whole new satellite deployment system in Nova Scotia. Canada will now start competing and partnering with other countries so that they no longer feel the need to work with SpaceX out of Southern California, or go to the only European site in northern Norway to be able to put satellites into space, or in French Guyana. Canada is very well placed to be able to help facilitate this and build its own sovereign capabilities. So sovereignty is a big word. It basically means that we can stand up on our own 2 feet. We will. We have the ability to do it. We need to sprinkle a little bit of catalytic dust. Government can get the signals right, can provide the funding, streamline, overcome systemic barriers, harness the talent in this room and beyond. And I think Canada's incredible. I think this is an incredible country. We have talent beyond belief. And I say that as someone who's been working and traveled in about 75 countries now. So I think that we're very well positioned to assert that sovereignty, that we have a responsibility. Now, that being said, I will say this. We do have to, on the defense side, operate at 3 different levels. We have domestic responsibilities. We have continental responsibilities, for example, with NORAD, the only binational command of its kind in the world, which has been working well for us for decades, together with our United States partner. And we have international responsibilities at NATO. So we understand the breakdown of those responsibilities, and we're executing change to be able to provide those, to accomplish those responsibilities. And at the same time, Canada is going to become a more secure, yes, and a more sovereign place.
Thanks. My follow-up, $20.3 million investment here today. Can you just talk a little bit about what every Albertan always wants to talk about, and that's economic benefits, exactly how this will help Joe Blow on the street who couldn't make today's announcement?
This is the beginning. I mentioned earlier in my remarks that this institution, the ecosystem here is like, it's out of the barn and on the track, okay? It's running hard. And so we're very fortunate that the strength of this submission up against the other competitor submissions indicated that they're not only able to run, but they're already running. So we're able to plug and play into a system which is already quite advanced. This is the beginning. The notion of Borealis and Dish investments is the systemic approach we're bringing. But we fully expect that this enterprise, this Q-Dish, will leverage way more financial investment, will give rise to new intellectual property, will give rise to commercializable engineering and other solutions. That's how it will have a bearing on everyday lives. This also has to be seen in the context of all the other investments we're making in Alberta, right? HVAC jobs, cement, trucking, framing, roofing, architecture, engineering, supplies, supply chains. The list is long as we make these significant investments. $4 billion in Cold Lake. Right now we're working with the province to figure out how we're going to get the trades and the workers to be able to accomplish these investments. So this is going to have a major bearing on people's daily lives. We're fully aware of this. And it's the first time, to be honest with you, I think that a Minister of Defense speaks as overtly about economic generation as I am. Because I think it's important for Canadians to understand we're making these investments, yes, for our security and sovereignty, yes, because it's the right thing to do for the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces, but it's also important for us to make these investments and to remind them and show them that this is going to have a bearing on their daily lives. Thank you.
Emma Marshall, CBC News. In light of the serious allegations made against a Canadian intern at NATO, what lessons has the Department of National Defence taken about security clearance, and do these allegations in any way endanger Canada's attempt to reset relations with China?
I'm really not in a position to give you any more insight on the specifics of that particular case. It would be irresponsible of me to do so. I would say this: the government is seized with the need to improve overall the approach to security clearances, not just for these kinds of positions, but jobs involving public service, contractors who are working on defense contracts. This is being addressed. So with respect to the impact to the recalibration of our relationship with China, again, I'm not in a position. The Global Affairs Canada is the lead department on this particular file. You may want to put that question to them.
And for my follow-up, the Canadian military has deployed a variety of ships and aircraft to the Pacific under Operation Latitude. 2 Chinese Arctic research ships have transited the Bering Strait again this year. Is the Canadian military actively monitoring or helping monitor their presence in the region?
I'll go only so far in saying that we are aware of activities in Canadian waters, sovereign Canadian territory, and are are keeping more than a watching brief on those activities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonjour, Monsieur McGuinty.
Bonjour, ça va bien?
Ça va bien, toi?
Excellent.
C'était pas ça ma première question, là. Félix Gagné de Radio-Canada. C'est quoi l'importance pour le gouvernement du Canada d'investir dans le quantique, comme aujourd'hui, à Calgary?
C'est fondamental. C'est fondamental pour notre sécurité, notre souveraineté. C'est fondamental pour faire compétition avec le développement de nouvelles technologies. C'est fondamental au niveau de la protection de ce pays. C'est fondamental avec les partenariats qu'on est en train de créer partout au Canada, partout dans le monde, des partenariats bilatéraux et multilatéraux. Donc, ça fait partie d'une série de DISH qui vont être créés. Et c'est la première fois dans l'histoire du Canada qu'on crée de telles sortes de sites où les gens peuvent venir de l'académie, du secteur privé, du secteur public, les ONG, et en plus le financement canadien et le financement à l'échelle internationale. Éventuellement, on peut voir un moment où le DISH ici à Calgary est en mesure d'accepter des investissements d'un peu partout dans le monde pour poursuivre une certaine recherche dans un domaine technologique. Donc, c'est à voir. Donc, c'est un nouveau début et ça fait partie de nos efforts pour s'assurer qu'on a la souveraineté canadienne pour nous protéger.
Vous avez mentionné dans votre discours que la défense était le 4e plus gros employeur en Alberta. Qu'est-ce que vous avez à dire, mettons, un jeune franco-albertain qui voyait ça comme une perspective d'avenir qui maintenant n'est plus là, avec les nouveaux règlements, ou aux vétérans franco-albertains qui s'inquiètent à savoir s'il va avoir des services dans sa langue maternelle?
Bien, écoute, je sais qu'il y a eu quelques articles là-dessus. La mise en œuvre, les changements qui ont été effectués au niveau du bilinguisme officiel suivent de très près les changements qui ont été effectués depuis une dizaine d'années à l'échelle nationale. Moi, j'encourage tous les jeunes de considérer une carrière dans les Forces armées canadiennes. On est encouragés. Cette année, il y a une augmentation de 61% de demandes complétées pour se joindre aux Forces armées canadiennes. 61% augmentation depuis l'année passée. Donc, il y a évidemment beaucoup d'intérêt. C'est une belle carrière, il y a beaucoup d'options, beaucoup de changements et beaucoup d'investissements.
Merci.
Merci.
Perfect, and we'll have time for one more question.
Good. Hi. Good morning, Minister. Gavin John, Globe and Mail.
Morning, Gavin.
Good morning. My question for you is, Canada's post-quantum strategy stops at protected B networks, but I don't see any public confirmation or any information on protected C and classified that holds NATO and Five Eyes networks. Have any of our allies approached you on a date for that integration?
Not that I'm aware of, but I will look into that and get back to you.
Okay. And a quick follow-up. You mentioned the upgrade to Suffield to hold a center of excellence for nuclear, biological, and chemical. Will that be in conjunction with Czechia, who already has a NATO center for excellence for biological?
It's something that we're aware of, something that we'll pursue in terms of bilateral discussions. But this does speak to maybe just so I could riff off that for a little bit. It's important for us to remember the extent to which NATO partners, the alliance has been, in my view, strengthened over the last 14 or 15 months. One of the elements of that strengthening, we witnessed it in Ankara, the Prime Minister and I at the summit, the Leaders' Summit for NATO just 2 weeks ago. I guess we were there. There's now a realization that no one country can pursue this alone, that we need partnerships, that we are stronger together. And so we will be looking to make sure that whatever we pursue in Southern Alberta is aligned and mutually supportive of our NATO efforts as a whole. It reminds me of my own family background as one of 10 siblings. And my mother used to say you had a choice to make in your life. She'd say to all 10 of us, if you decide to pull apart, you will feel like you're 5. But if you pull together, you'll feel like you're 20. We're about pulling together now. In this country, we're about pulling together. Globally, with our NATO allies, we're about pulling together. So you raise an important question that's particular, but on a general level, there is now an increasing realization that NATO's got to enhance its cooperation, align its activities, draw from each of our comparative strengths. Maybe to go a little further, that's why on the defense industrial strategy side, we chose 10 sovereign capabilities, 10 core areas, not 3, not 20, but 10, where we have strength, where we have experience, where we have incredible teams already in place to build on those capabilities. Will we expand them over due course? Maybe we will. But to begin, by beginning, we've got 10. So we're being judicious in the choice of the areas where we think Canada can do very well and compete, and this dish is a perfect representation of that choice. So on behalf of Canadians, we're going to do what we can to move this forward. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. Am I sneaking one more in?
One more question.
Apparently getting one more in.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Dane Patterson, the Canadian Press. Your government tabled a response to the House of Commons Industry Committee that says the ongoing F-35 review is not only taking into consideration economic and industrial outcomes for Canada, but it's also examining issues related to sovereign unmanned systems. Why is your government examining Canadian control over adjacent unmanned systems as part of the F-35 review?
So you're quoting a response to an industry committee review?
Correct, yeah.
Is this a response provided by the National Defense Department?
This is for our colleagues, so I can't,
Okay.
I'm not
I think it is. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. We have an obligation to follow the technology. We have an obligation to remain up with the technology. When I talk to my counterpart in Ukraine, the Ukrainians tell me that they're building drone frames, but they're replacing and fine-tuning the technology on those roughly every 6 weeks, given the pace of technological development and the anti-drone capabilities. So we are examining uncrewed vessels underwater, on land, in the air. We have an obligation to see where the puck is going. And so the response that we're looking at the F-35 and reviewing that acquisition, we just joined the GCAP research consortium for the next iteration of fighter jets. I was in the UK 2 weeks ago, signing on to that as an observer country. We think that that's smart hockey. We think it's important to be there, to be up with that cutting edge research. And so, yes, we're going to continue to monitor these developments because all of this is happening not in a vacuum. It's happening on a continuous basis. And so the F-35 review continues, and it embraces watching where the technology is going, learning and following and understanding.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. And now that officially concludes today's question and answer. Thank you all for joining us. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.
Thank you very much. And could I ask Minister Schow and Megan to join us on stage for a photo? And then there will be a reception. Just bear with us for about 30 seconds.